Yeah.
Consistency is everything. And look at James, consistency over time, setting expectations leads to insane growth.
Without a doubt. Yeah. It's 100% the most significant thing that I've done is be consistent, because, you show up on time and people will show up to watch it. And, the more consistent you are with putting out content, the more consistent your followers are going to be with like engaging with it.
The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work.
PC family, today I'm joined by the global painting sensation, my brother, James Lewis. Welcome back for round 2 of the Perspective Podcast. How you doing today, brother?
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be back. What is it, 100 episodes later?
Yes, fun fact. So he was back. He was on episode 69 of like 2018. And fast forward literally 100 episodes. This is episode 169. So a lot has happened. We recently just did an Instagram live session too a couple months back. But for those who didn't listen to that or didn't listen to episode 69, which is insane, let's catch people up. What has all happened within the last 100 episodes for you in the last 2 years, to where you are today?
Yeah, so it's been a sort of upward trajectory. I've been very, very blessed and very lucky.
That's a modest description.
I put in place sort of a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years ago now, this sort of content strategy, which was at least 1 video a week, 3 posts a week, and just as many stories as I can do. And I've just been sort of using that as like a basis to build off of, and then sort of trying to turn that into like an iterative process. So create a bit of content, see what works, see what doesn't, and then keep developing that until I can get something that's like, engaging stuff that people are really interested in, that's also like visually pleasing and a fun piece of content to make. And I think in the past year, I sort of found a way to sort of bring all those things together nicely into like shareable content. And then the content has driven a lot of growth. And yeah, it's just been kind of crazy.
So, and one key word to describe all of this is video.
Without a doubt. Yeah. So like I said, at the beginning, the strategy was at least 1 video a week. These days it's 2 to 3. Wow. So it's all video now. Like my image posts, they get like probably like 1/10 of the amount of engagement. It's just because I've been doing video for so long now, and I think I've like primed my followers to engage with the video. So when they see an image, it's sort of like they probably scroll straight past it, not even thinking it's me. But it makes up for it because the video does like get the engagement rates.
So ever since I've known you, back to the early Ligature Collective days, you have always set expectations from people. While you have a lot of different styles and a lot of different ranges you can do, like there was a good stint for easily over a year. You were the brown craft paper lettering 3D popping artist for a long time there, or just like flat lettering or logos or something like that. Yeah. That's what people came to expect. Now people expect video of doing this stuff that we talk about, doing something familiar of logos and painting, but in an unfamiliar way, such as you do it. Yeah. But you always set expectations. Like you said, you've primed the pump for what people expect from you. Like talk about how powerful that is.
I think I've been looking into sort of what's been set up over the past, like my lifetime basically. And what's like one of the biggest entertainment things is sort of like TV. TV does such a good job, or it used to, now it's more YouTube, of sort of, what you're getting with the TV show. Let's say, for example, The Simpsons. You're going to get, family sort of drama, fun, entertaining program. You're already primed. You sort of could predict the jokes almost, but they always find a way to sort of twist it and do something that's fun and engaging. So my plan was sort of to do something similar where it's like, you already have an idea of what I'm going to be doing. It's something relatable, like you said, logos, like quotes that are maybe quite famous. Lately, it's been characters like Peter Griffin in the background here. Just relatable things, but also done in like quite a fun and quirky way.
Yeah. So has that always been kind of the formula, or when did it just start clicking? Like, because you said you started doing hardcore video once a week. about a year and a half ago, and boom, there's another golden tip right there. Video, a weekly consistency, a minimum of once a week. Like that's what I tell people to do.
Yeah.
Consistency is everything. And look at James, consistency over time, setting expectations leads to insane growth.
Without a doubt. Yeah. It's 100% the most significant thing that I've done is be consistent, because, you know, you show up on time and people will show up to watch it. And, you know, the more consistent you are with putting out content, the more consistent your followers are going to be with like engaging with it. And I think that's one of the reasons why like my videos do get such like decent engagement, is because people are sort of expecting the videos. And then I also like do my best to engage back with them. You know, some videos I'll post on Instagram and I'll literally spend 3 hours replying to comments.
And that's important. People are going to care about you when you show you care about them and engage back with them. So in terms of like posting consistently, whether it was once a week or now 3 times a week, do you post at the same time each time to build an audience within that time zone? Or is it just like when you have something done and it works within your schedule that you know you can be free to respond to people, then you post? Does it matter?
Yeah, so it's definitely calculated, and it's been sort of something I've been working on for a while, sort of seeing when is the best time to post, sort of trialing out different times. I figured out sort of for me, it's around 3 p.m. GMT. And then I'll do Tuesday, I'll do Thursday, and I'll do Sunday. If I have like an extra bit of content, I'll put it on Wednesday as well. But it's usually around 3 to 4 in the week. And then on the weekend, on the Sunday post, it's usually a little later, about 5 to 6 p.m.
Do you track your metrics and everything so you can see how things perform, or you just reference the app?
Yeah, so it's more so referencing the app and doing just checking the analytics from the app, and sort of making note from that as well. And what I usually do, so I'll post the content at 3, and there's usually a big burst then. And then around like 5 or 6, when people are getting off work here in the UK and Europe, I'll be really heavy on stories. So I've been really
so
big
spread
on
them out. Okay.
Yeah. So like I have like a big, like a story, Instagram story strategy that I've been sort of developing now for the past like couple months. And it's like on the days that I post, for example, today, Tuesday. So I'm posting at 3. There's a story that comes out at like 12, story comes out at 1, story comes out at 2, story comes out at 3, like basically promoting the main post. I'll lay off about 4, and then probably, you know, like right now, 5 p.m., 6, I'll put some more stories out.
Related? Are all these stories you're talking about related or sneak peeks to the main post, or just anything?
Yeah. So, it's usually lately I've been doing sort of callbacks. So videos that I created like a year ago. Like this is, you know, the advantage of being consistent is that I've got so much content now.
You got a gold mine you can reshare at the drop of a dime.
I've got like a good couple hundred videos just on my Mac that I can continually put out just to keep people engaged. So I think one of my videos today was, I think the first one I posted was sort of a sneak peek for the video later in the day. Then it was some content I've created from before. Then as the video went live, it was sort of, I usually share the first like 5 seconds of the video in the story. And then say, you know, if you want to check out the rest of the video, head over to the main feed, engage with it there. And then later on in the day, I'll probably continue to post snippets from the main story, main video, and then relate that back. And then also just continue to put out content.
Ben, I have a huge habit of, whenever I talk to you, we just go deep. We skip the surface level of anything. It's just like, let's start getting deep on the stuff. So if you could, I got to rewind it real quick. Can you give people a brief Wikipedia page summary about who you are, what you do, and why people should care? And we could just dive right back in. Because not everybody knows you, even though, you got over 1 million now on TikTok. I saw you have approaching 800K on Instagram. And I remember you and me linked up back in the days when we both had like maybe 10,000 or less. You know? So I've truly witnessed all of this over the years. So
yeah, so,
it's
been wild.
Who is James Lewis?
So James Lewis is a British artist. I rebranded myself recently from lettering artist to British artist, just because I wanted to sort of explore different things.
Not so pigeonholed.
Yeah, exactly. I think on our IGTV chat, we had a little conversation about being pigeonholed into like one thing. And recently with some of the paintings I'm doing, I realized that the construct of a lettering artist was more in my head than it was anywhere else. So I'm just an artist now, you know, I'm free to do what I want, and I'll create as much and as weird things as possible. So as we've sort of been speaking, like I've been creating content now mostly for Instagram for the past like 6-7 years. started off doing calligraphy, then hand lettering. And now it's a lot more like painting and mostly video, really, trying to get those satisfying strokes and just create as much entertaining content as possible. What else? I've been lucky enough to work with some crazy brands like Rolls-Royce, Samsung, Converse recently. Just, some amazing brands on really cool projects. And I guess I'm just sort of an artist living as an artist. And thankfully I've been successful based on just being consistent with what I do.
And I think everyone, including myself, wants to know what's like the breakdown of your time, because you do your thing full time as an artist. One thing I want to mention too is you keep yourself open to have a variety of different styles right now, but you have, those are your variables, but you have your constants, which are painting and video. So that's what sets the expectation. But now that having those set frees him up to do anything else he wants within that confines of an artist. So just something for people to think about. What's your constants? What's your variables? But what's your breakdown then between how much allocated time goes into client work in a week versus like you just creating content for the sake of creating content because this is what James wants to do?
Yeah. It really depends on sort of what projects come along. So over the past year, I've been, again, lucky enough to sort of pick and choose the clients that I want to work with. And these days, I'll only take on a client project if it's something that I want in my feed.
So like something they'll hire you for your own style that's postable for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's only like I'll only create something if it's content that I would already create anyway, basically. And I'm just
fits within your process.
Yeah. And right now, like my main revenue stream would be like brand collaborations, but it's really diversified. And 1 month it could be, print sales, 1 month original art sales, brand collaborations. It is very varied, but I'd say overall it is brand collaborations. But even those, it is like doing something in my own style. I'm painting like a logo of a company, or I'm painting a celebratory graphic. For example, I worked with NBA team Sacramento
Kevin Durant,
Kings.
I saw.
Yeah.
What is something? How open can you get? I don't know, NDAs or this or that in there. What is something like a brand collaboration? What can you charge for something like that?
Yeah, so it really depends on the client and the extent of the project, but it's like a good couple thousand, depending on what it is. And I usually break it down. So the price chart that I send over, it breaks everything down into sort of incremental. So, I send this to not just corporate clients, but also people as well, because it's got like the painting of the content, then it's got, video production, photography, sharing on my Instagram, sharing on my TikTok, sharing on my Facebook. You can package those together.
It's like line items. Yeah,
for sure. And then it's like licensing, if you want to share this content on your social media, if you want to put it on your website, if you're going to use it as an advert. And then also if I'm creating like an original piece for the content, the licensing of that then on merchandise. And there's always different ways that you can sort of break down the costs so people can, I guess, rationalize paying the money.
For sure. Do you give them the option to buy out too, so they own it?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's part of the licensing, is like a complete IP buyout.
And that's what you want people to do, right? Like give me that money. I mean,
that's ideal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then also like for some like big brands, like big clothing brands, it can be good to get that sort of residual income as well. So maybe instead of like charging a full upfront fee, I charge sort of like 50% of the fee, but then I get 20% of the revenue. So then there's you've got to be sort of a businessman around it as well, and try and figure out what would be the best way to sort of complete the project. But then also, if I have skin in the game, if I have percentage in this product doing well, then I'm obviously going to want to put like that extra 20% in myself.
So you're thriving as an artist, but at the same time, I think this episode is all around killer content strategy. You're a strategist. You're a marketer. You're a promo wizard. Why do some people struggle with this so much? How did you find the secret sauce? Or to you, what is that secret sauce for creating likable, shareable, entertaining content? What did you find to be the secret sauce, or what did you struggle with in the beginning?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's been a really long process, and I'd say only in the past year it's really started to sort of blow up. So there's always that, that overnight success sort of story that
I'm here to tell everyone it's
real.
not overnight for you. I
Yeah,
witnessed it all.
Yeah, for most people it isn't though. You spend a very long time. For me, it's sort of like a really iterative process. So I created, say, way back in like 2015, I'd create something, I'd put it out there, and I didn't have a following at the time, so I'd actively go out, message people. What do you think of this? What can I improve on? It's always like trying to learn from people's responses and their feedback, and trying to integrate that and experiment further. So it's just been like a really slow and iterative process of creating, gaining feedback, creating something new, and then sort of measuring those results. So it is a very much sort of like marketing approach of creating art and content, but then also trying to figure out, all right, well, maybe this is doing well. How can I do something that does well, but also is something I enjoy? So there's a lot of factors that I sort of had to try and weave together. And again, like within this past like 6 months to a year now, it's really started to come together into something I'm sort of really proud to be creating, and it's really like popping off.
So to recap for people, constantly experimenting, but paying attention to the metrics and the analytics. Because if you're just posting and you don't know why you're posting or who it's for or how it compares to what you posted in the past, then you're just playing a guessing game. And I feel like that's how people get so defeated, is they're just guessing. They're showing up and putting something out there, hoping. It's hope marketing, hoping people will like it.
Doubt. And I mean, I've definitely been guilty of that, like getting sort of sentimental over a style, or sentimental over like a piece of content that I really love and think is like the best thing in the world, or like a type of art that I really want to push. But then when I actually create it and get it out there in the world, it doesn't get that response. So you sort of, as a sort of creative these days, you do have to find a way to balance, what you want to create and what the world wants to see, or what is sort of appreciated, and find that sort of middle ground.
I love that. So your art is for you, but if you want to make a thriving creative career, a creative business in general, it's got to stem from you. Like, you're getting hired right now for the work you want to create, and the style and the process and the medium you want to create, and it fits your feed.
Yeah.
It's taking you a long time to get here, but you've done this by experimenting, finding that balance of what you like to create, but then paying attention to like how it performs. But you're not like catering. You're not just straight up just like, I'm going to make a piece because I think people will like it. But inside, like, James doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Maybe you have before. I'm guilty of that in the past, but like, I don't do that anymore, because that just feels gross and empty.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was like when I really started early on in lettering, it was like sort of like motivational, cheesy quotes. Like, everyone was doing it, and I was sort of like, I get it, and I really like it. But every time I made it, it was sort of like, it did kind of feel a little bit off, or maybe a little bit disingenuous, because I think, for me anyway, personally, I think inspiration isn't something you can sort of like put in front of people. Like, you can't like say, this is inspirational, have this. It's sort of something that you sort of decide within yourself. Maybe like what's inspirational to me, like an inspirational person to me might not be an inspirational person to you. So if I'm trying to create this sort of catch-all inspiring quote, for me, it just slowly started to feel a little bit disingenuous.
For sure. And last in our Instagram live session, we broke down like the 3 buckets of value: inspiration, education, and entertainment.
Exactly.
And you by far play in that entertainment book. I think you hit kind of all of them: process, the breaking down the process and everything, or teaching, or the educational courses. You hit that that education bucket. And then sometimes in your quotes, you'll do storytelling. Lately, I know it's more shorter questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But why entertainment? So entertainment, you feel, is what people are craving the most right now. I can see that on TikTok. TikTok is totally pure entertainment, not so much the inspiration bucket, unless you're listening to like a Gary V, or someone that's really well known. So describe like the entertainment. Why should people angle for that entertainment route? What if they don't feel entertaining?
Yeah, I think it's really important to focus on the entertainment, just because there's so much content out there. Like, if you go into, like, I have like nieces and nephews who are quite young, for example, and you ask any of those guys, what they want to do, they want to be YouTubers. Yeah, they all, they all want to be creators. They all want to create and entertain. So you have right now where there's this huge surplus of people creating content and putting stuff out there. But then I guess if you want to progress and be like a person in the social media sphere, then you need your content to be rising above everyone else's. And I think one of the ways you can do that is obviously creating the most entertaining content you can. And for me, I think it lent nicely with the content I was creating anyway, to try and just like maximize the entertainment value with, like really satisfying brushstrokes and nice music that's kind of relaxing, and just trying to create that sort of entertained, chilled out, like almost hypnotic vibe where you just like watch all the videos.
Putting people in a trance.
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully like a relaxing one and a stress-free one.
A stress-free one. So the entertainment bucket, for someone who's listening, they think that they have to be funny like a comedian. So you're basically breaking it down like you're in that oddly satisfying brushstrokes bucket. What other types of buckets of entertainment can there be? In your opinion, that you see that are working for other people, just so people don't be like, oh, well, shit, I'm not funny. So I guess I'm screwed right now with my content.
Yeah, I think entertainment is very broad in the sense that what entertains one person is going to not the other. So yeah, there's definitely really funny people who are on TikTok who are killing it right now. But then there's also some people who are like making, entertaining videos that are like sort of more relaxing, I guess my sort of art style, that sort of thing works. Other like maybe classical painting. There's people doing like dancing. So it's not like
shuffle breakdowns.
Yeah. So it's not like entertainment in the sense of like you're laughing and you're having a great time, but it's entertaining in the sense that it's retaining your attention. And then within that, you can, I guess, you can be inspiring or you can be educational. But I think by sort of leading with this entertainment, it sort of primes people to be more interested in like the rest of what you're doing.
So would you say if you're trying to figure out how to be more entertaining with your work or tap into that bucket, would you kind of do a self-reflection of what's the type of content that you feel entertained that retains your attention? Is that what you did to figure out what worked for you? Did you notice like other people's time-lapse stuff was like oddly satisfying to you? Or like how did you reverse engineer it? And how would you, I guess, recommend someone else give it a shot?
That's a good question. I can't remember exactly how I sort of came about that sort of time-lapse style, because there was definitely people doing time-lapses obviously for like, ages. But then the sort of style that I went for, where it was instead of just like everything really sped up, it was sort of like a collection of short moments that lead up to like the final piece. I don't know. I sort of just thought to myself, like, how could I best present what I'm doing? So I think it's all about finding that one thing you're interested in first and you like to do.
Which in your case would be painting?
Yeah. And then finding a unique way to present that. So yeah, for me, it was sort of this time-lapse thing. And I definitely would have seen time-lapse videos of other artists that would have influenced me, but it wasn't so much of a conscious effort of like researching it. It was sort of, how can I make a piece of content that is interesting and exciting for me? And then obviously put that out there and again, do that iterative process and see what people respond to the content. And I definitely put out some like, that fast-paced time-lapse style. And I noticed that it definitely didn't get as much engagement as the same sort of style video, but instead of like everything sped up, it's like a few clips that are in like normal time. And then you see the final result.
Man, so when you shifted from that just a sped up, here it is, everything's full in frame, to like, here's little parts and pieces for the big reveal at the end. Did that increase your editing time like wildly?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. But yeah, at the same time, it's one of those things where you get used to it. So for example,
I was routine.
Yeah. So I was editing literally just a couple of days ago, my first YouTube video. And we had probably about 3-4 hours of footage for an event I did with Converse in London. And I ended up like spending 2 days editing it. And we got like 4 minutes footage at the end. So like, it's crazy. And yeah, that was a 2-hour whole process of me trying to pull together this narrative, there's voiceover, there's music, but trying to keep it engaging as well. And obviously that one took me 2 days, but I imagine, when I've done 10 YouTube videos, it'll take me a couple of hours. So it's about like sort of streamlining that process.
What's the importance of the hook in the beginning? Like the first 3 seconds of grabbing someone's attention? You know, how
Yeah.
important is that? And
It's
what are some ways to like, I
yeah.
guess, capitalize on that?
I think it's equally as important as the content itself. Like literally just before we're doing this podcast now, I've got a contact at YouTube who's sort of helping me get on the app. And we were talking about the content itself, but then also how to package and present it. And she was saying that like the thumbnail, the title, the first couple of seconds, it's all just as important and needs to be as considered as like the remainder of the 10, 15-minute video. And it's exactly the same on like Instagram and especially like TikTok as well, because, you know, you've got a couple seconds, if that. On TikTok, you probably have got about 1.5 seconds to really grab people's attention. So for example, with my videos, the first like 2 seconds, there's usually about 3 sort of clips, 3 cuts in 3 seconds. And yeah, in that like first couple of seconds.
Man, that's so much work. And we were talking before we got on and I was like, hold up, let's just make sure we start recording before we like miss all this. And so you shoot your time-lapse videos with multiple cameras in order to get these different shots. And then you compile all your stuff. So like, is your process now so you can record something, keeping like, here's your vertical 9:16 for Instagram that converts to Instagram TV. But then it also, you can just tweak it a little bit for TikTok. But now that you're bringing in YouTube in the fold, you know, now what is your editing strategy like? Because YouTube is more horizontal based.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be that learning process.
What are you doing
again.
to yourself?
I'll probably have to buy another camera.
I was to say, is this like a third one? And now how do you? Then I don't understand. How does your brain put all this together? Well, it's going to be a lot of trial and error.
Exactly that. Yeah. So it's that iterative process, and I'll be honest, you know, I'm so nervous to try and do something new because I feel like within myself, I've only just got to be able to like get nailed down, like how to do successful, like short form videos. And now I'm challenging myself with like long form as well. So, but I think that you need that sort of challenge to keep pushing you. I'm a person, I love to learn. So even before making this first YouTube video, I've been, you know, doing loads of research, and research doesn't mean like, you know, like learning like from courses and stuff. I didn't do any of that. It's more so just being analytical when I'm watching the content that I actually enjoy, and think to myself, like, why do I enjoy this? What is it about the editing that is interesting to me? The tone of voice. Why am I laughing right now? You know, trying to really be analytical about the content that I enjoy.
See, that's when a creative can flip the switch from the creative who just is like a starving artist to like the business person who's making a career out of it, is what you're saying right there. The analytical side of things. I think that's brilliantly articulated, that I've been trying to like understand how to communicate that to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's the sort of level of consciousness where you like, well, awareness, where you're sort of watching something, but you're not just consuming the content. You're asking questions whilst you're doing it. You're watching it with like, I guess, an intention to learn how they're successful. And that's been huge for me as well. Like,
that's, you know, gold. I think that's the biggest takeaway in this episode right now.
So far.
so far. Consciously consuming.
But yeah, that's been huge for me. Is I've always been looking up to artists who are doing incredible things and trying to understand their success and understand their process, even most of the time from afar. But there was definitely one person. Did you ever use Behance?
I mean, it's been a while. When I was like trying to attract a lot of client work, I was using Behance. But now that I'm heavy in coaching and client work's like 2B.
Yeah, it's pretty dead right now.
I think people still should be on it. If they're trying to get their work out there. Yeah,
you should be. If you're trying to get engagement, you should be everywhere, just seeing what works for you and your content. But yeah, when I was first starting out, I was really heavy on Behance, and I was again reaching out to all of these like successful people who were doing amazing things. And there was this one guy who he got back to me. Basically, I put out this logo project, and it was really early on, so it was really bad. And he got back to me with this like 6-page PDF document where he sort of broke down everything that I had done wrong, but not just like said, this is bad, offered like alternatives, what I could have done, what decisions I could have made. And that was like hugely like transformative for me. And it's like one of the reasons I still reply to pretty much everyone who gets in touch with me, is because it is so important to be looking up to people and always having in your mind like the next step, like, oh, I can't wait till I'm at the same stage as this person and doing this cool thing.
I love that. So you're just now only finding your real true groove and it's banging and it's popping off. But now it's always like, I think you got to have one foot in, but then one foot out, seeing what's next.
Yeah.
You don't get left behind. I feel like I had both feet in a long time and I got left behind when the video came around, but also a kid and day job. And there's just a lot of other factors that made it hard for me to get that other foot out. But now I'm better at it now that I do my thing full time. But I think that's an important thing too. Don't get married to just this, because in the age of internet and content creation and just social media, shit's always evolving, so you're finding what's next after TikTok. Like everybody else is just jumping on TikTok right now.
Yeah.
And you've been on it since last year.
Yeah, for sure. I was, lucky. Early adopter, really loved the app. And again, like my content, it does really well on TikTok because it's sort of, in a way, already it was made for TikTok.
It was totally made.
It already had that sort of short, intense, but satisfying video. It's all bright and vibrant. So, as you're scrolling through, you'll stop because it's almost like a hit of just like bright color. So I think, I was kind of lucky that sort of aligned and really came together for me.
Yeah, your audience has truly exploded from like that 18 to maybe 32, maybe even 32 is on the older side, but like maybe 18 to 26 is really like where your people live. So it's like you were meant for TikTok.
For sure. Yeah. It was kind of, it just sort of fell in place. I was super lucky. I really can't. Yeah.
So tell us kind of what's next. What are you working on in the meantime? So as we're talking right now, who knows when this comes out in May, what's going to be happening? Like you're a quarantine creator. So am I. So what are some of the big moves that you're working behind the scenes of terms of your personal work, content strategy, or client work? What are you doing for you for the next step? You got that foot in the next thing right now. What's that for you?
Exactly. So I've got like a few things that are coming up. Like, as I mentioned, the YouTube. So I'm trying to be putting out now at least one YouTube video a week, just because I think
on top of 3 TikToks and Instagram.
Exactly.
Okay. So are you saying no to a lot of client work these days?
Well, yes, but the thing is, the client work is it's usually artworks,
so it counts as one of your posts.
Yeah.
Okay, so it works within the feed. Okay,
that's exactly it. So my main goal now, whilst starting off this YouTube, is finding a way to marry the 3 pieces of content together. And one of the ways I was sort of thinking about this is because, like, say for example, I want to make a YouTube video about my inspirations. Then within that, I'll be like talking to the camera for about a few minutes. And then also paint a lettering piece that says maybe inspiration or something. So, you're getting this information, you're seeing some visuals that's also entertaining. And then I can post out the short form video of that artwork and say, hey, if you want to learn about my inspiration, then you can check out the full video on YouTube. So my plan is to try and find a way to sort of marry at least, so those pieces of content together so that I'm not creating separately, 3 for Instagram, 3 for TikTok. One for YouTube.
You're multi-purposing and promoting each video to lead to the other video.
Exactly,
so you're cross-pollinating your platforms.
Exactly.
Okay. You're siphoning your audience to different, so they can find you everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
And just like for the long form, it's just a better way for people to sort of learn a little bit more about me as well, because obviously the short form videos are great and people can get a little bit of a sense of who I am through like the captions and some of the things I say in my stories. But it's important for me to sort of build on that community that I've already sort of started building up on short form content, and then, bring that to life sort of on YouTube and help people with sort of learning, I guess, what I do. And then hopefully I can inspire them to create art, because I genuinely believe that like the world would be a better place if everyone spent more time focusing on things they actually enjoyed. And I know like I can, it's great coming from me because I get to live my sort of dream life and create art every day. But if, I get it. People have jobs and stuff they have to do. But even if they had like, in the back of their mind, they were like, oh yeah, I have to go to work today and maybe I really don't like my job. But in the evening, I'm going to try and create this artwork that I've been really inspired to do. So I think, that's sort of the main goal for me on the YouTube, is to sort of help inspire people to get more creative and hopefully just brighten up their lives a little bit with some fun paintings as I do it.
So last I also knew, everybody used to ask me, hey, what pen is that? What pen is that? But everybody's asking you, what brush is that? Now you're going to be able to answer that question, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been over the past like 6 months now developing my own range of brushes. Hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, I'm pretty sure they'll be live.
Fingers crossed.
So there'll be a link somewhere on screen maybe.
And just in case you got like a wait list, just in case, because I know like with this whole pandemic, it's kind of put a damper on stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if it's not live, then yeah, there's a wait list on my Instagram bio, in my TikTok bio, probably be on the link in the screen somewhere as well. And it was just a way for me to sort of gauge who would be interested, because yeah, like you said, the main comment I get is, what are the brushes I use? And I've spent like hundreds of pounds trying to find the right brush. And what I sort of came to realize was there was some really big companies, brush companies that have been around for hundreds of years. They were producing these really high quality red sable hair brushes, but some of them were like really, overpriced, sort of, $100 for a brush, which is kind of crazy. So sort of my goal with this was to create a quality product, like the best quality that I could make with my own specifications. So my own like preferred length of hairbrush, weight of the brush, all of these like really boring things that really make a difference to me and help like make me paint as precise as possible. So I was able to sort of bring all those together and then create a product that was, economically not super overpriced as well.
Especially when your target demographic is that 18 to 32 range,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like someone who's been sitting on a 401k for 30 years or something like that with deep pockets.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'd imagine some of especially on TikTok, some of the people following me there are probably even younger. So ideally, putting out a product that is reasonably priced, but that can still help people like achieve the similar look to the artworks that I'm creating.
Word. Well, that's going to be available on your shop then?
Yes.
When it comes out?
I'll be setting up independent website just so it's something that I can have all of the information in one place. So haven't set up the URL or anything yet, but again, over this next month,
it'll be by the time this comes out, this will be baked into the show notes and everywhere. So do you got a course you're working on too?
Yeah. So that'll be out very soon as well. I flew out to Madrid a few months back to work with a company called Domestika. So they set up a load of really cool online courses. And the way they structure their business is you sort of pay per course rather than a monthly fee. And they can sort of charge such little prices. This course will be like $20 because they have like millions of users. So for this $20 course, you're probably getting a similar quality course to what like other people are putting out for a lot higher prices, because this company already has that user base. So they know that they can sort of charge decent prices, which is great because it means more people can learn brush lettering, which is
more accessible.
Yeah, and it makes it more accessible. So yeah, it's different. The course itself is very broad in reach because it's mostly just about how to use the brushes that I use in my artwork. The course is centered around brush lettering, but it's like the skills and the same technique that I use for, Peter Griffin behind me here.
Yeah. You got like the curves and everything that you'd be using on like some kind of script, but still it's going to work on his butt ball chin,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Is that supposed to be dropping kind of the same time to kind of pair up with your brushes, ideally in a perfect world, if everything comes back together?
Yeah. So the plan was to launch both of them at the same time, but with the virus and all the stuff that's going on, it's looking like the course will come out first. That'll be sort of early April. And then the brushes will be out late April, early May.
Okay. So, yep, this will all be out by the time this comes out. So, perfect. I'll make sure to link all that up, especially beforehand, before this comes out. We'll plug the course. Before we dive into anything else you want to add on top of like the brushes or the courses, make sure people know about, or make sure they know it's for them.
Basically, yeah, if you're interested in sort of for the brushes and I guess the course as well, if you're interested in learning how to achieve that sort of painterly style that you see in my videos, that flat brush, that flat paint texture and the like long satisfying lines, then yeah, the brushes and the course will be perfect for you.
Word. All right, before we jump into rapid fire mode, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself when you were just starting off, just as a content creator?
Yeah. Piece of advice what I gave myself.
What would you give yourself just starting off?
Oh, okay. What would I give myself? Just keep going. I think that's the main thing for me, is sort of like, it doesn't really matter sort of what you're doing now. What matters is like what you want to be doing in like 5 years time, or like 1 year's time, or even like a month's time. And just having that sort of that future ideal. For me, it was, creating creative content that lots of people saw that I got paid to do. And that was sort of my goal a few years back. Now I've achieved that. Now I've got different goals. So I think having like a long goal and just keep going, keep moving towards it, even if it's baby steps, or if it feels like you're not going anywhere, just sort of assess, realize, how you can try again, but just don't stop.
I like it. Have that vision, keep experimenting. The goal and the story may be the same, but the plot and everything else can change along the way. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. You never know how you're going to get there, but just having that like idea in mind, naturally your decisions are going to go towards that idea.
Yes. That vision, keep that vision. Okay. Perfect. So let's pivot to rapid fire. If you were on death row, I can't remember if this was a question that I asked before last time. I think it might've been, but if you were on death row, what would your last slice of pizza be?
Oh, it was. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I can't remember.
This is a staple question, man. It's been around for over 100 episodes.
This is interesting, actually, because I'm pretty sure last time we spoke, I was vegan. So I think I said it would have been a vegan pizza. These days, I'm not. So probably...
this like is death row. You're done for after this. You might as well go out with a bang. What's it going to be?
Yeah, for sure. My favorite pizza is probably like a nice wood-fired pizza, thin base, with like roast chicken and like red peppers.
Okay, fancy. Yeah. Fancy. Okay. If you could have lunch with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Okay. I want to have lunch with, Cause, Brian Connolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have lunch with that guy.
Why?
Because he's got a really interesting story, and how he sort of come up as an artist, starting off on the streets, doing a lot of graffiti and street art when that sort of thing was very much frowned upon. And he sort of lived through the whole progression of it becoming now like one of the biggest art movements of our time. So I think it'd be really interesting to get his perspective on it.
Interesting. Valid. Okay. If you were stranded on an island, what are 3 things you have to refrain from dying from boredom?
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think. It's a good question because I'm in like solitary confinement pretty much right now, full isolation, day 1 of.
But you have all your supplies and everything around you. So paint everything, it's in abundance in your studio.
Yeah.
Not on an island. And answers like sunscreen and food. No, let's get creative and have some fun with this answer. Okay.
It would have to be my phone, number 1. For sure. I mean, wait, do I get signal out there?
It's your world. It's a deserted island, man. If you had your phone, then you could call for help.
Yeah, definitely phone. Yeah, okay. I want to get phone, maybe no signal, but like I can maybe post on Instagram. How's that?
Okay.
I feel like I need some sort of creative outlet, and then I need that to be like rebounded back to me. Otherwise,
you need that feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I get so bored. So just some sort of link to Instagram. So then I have my phone, so there's a camera.
So you just be doing like massive entertaining video of like drawing in sand.
Yeah.
And like shells and stuff.
Yeah. I think all I need is a phone. Just give me a phone. I'd have fun.
Well, clearly you would need some kind of sun-dialed charger, solar power chargers, for your phone too.
Yeah. Okay. So we get 3 things. So like a power bank that I can like charge my phone and the charger. And I'll just like slum it out. I'll learn how to live on the island, I'll forage coconuts. I'll build myself a hut and I'll record it all. And that'll be my YouTube channel.
So you need access to YouTube and Instagram. Okay.
Yeah. So I have like a direct line to the internet. So like maybe a Wi-Fi router as well.
All right. So if like coconuts or routers, my mind is going all over in crazy places now. Okay. If you were reincarnated, what would your new career path be outside of being an artist?
Maybe like a stock trader or something like that. Something
What?
completely left field. Yeah.
Totally surprising on that. Okay.
Yeah. I've been interested in stocks lately. I've been looking into it quite a lot. And I think it's another thing you could sort of do from home. Like you learn the basics, you do it from home. And then there's a few like YouTubers who I see who like they do stocks and they're really entertaining with their content. And there seems to be a strong community about it. So yeah, I could do that.
All right. Yeah. I was not expecting that. Okay. Last one before I ask where people follow and support you, but do you believe in aliens, paranormal, or any type of alternative life forms out there?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Yeah, for sure. I think it would be naive to believe that we're the only like sentient, aware creatures. I don't think that they would be necessarily like, gray aliens flying around. I think they'd be more sort of like interdimensional in the sense that they're like beyond this plane. Like we're just sort of like these little mass beings.
We're like fifth grade education to these genius mastermind aliens around here.
Yeah, exactly. And, they're just like teleporting all over the place because they don't have mass, I think like something like that's probably more likely than like
You've definitely thought about this.
I was just watching a Joe Rogan podcast yesterday.
Okay,
so I think
then that answered it. They're talking about DMT and aliens and everything crazy on it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Where can people go to follow you online and support you?
Yeah, so it's at James L. Lewis on Instagram, TikTok, and search James L. Lewis on YouTube as well, all one word. My website, James L. Lewis, and I'll also have the website for the brushes. That'll be out soon. Haven't got a URL yet.
Whenever you get it, just ping me and I'll get it in the show notes way ahead of time.
Sweet. Sounds good. So yeah, there'll be stuff in the show notes. Feel free to click through there. And yeah, I produce really cool, entertaining videos. So feel free to come and check them out.
Yeah. Imagine 100 episodes maybe down the road when we get you back on for round 3. What the hell are you going to be doing? What's the next vision that you're going to be working on? So thank you again so much for your time. Like we could talk for hours, Joe Rogan style, and just go deep on topics, dude. It's never a dull moment when we get together. Just know I appreciate the hell out of you. And I cannot wait to see where you are this time next year, the following year, and the next year moving forward. You got that next foot out the door already. What's next? So we'll keep in touch. All right.
For sure, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. Peace.
Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.